Magandang araw sa inyong lahat. Pag-aralan natin ang tungkol sa factoring quadratic binomial and factoring perfect square trinomial. Okay? What is a quadratic binomial? A quadratic binomial is an expression represented by the following models: bx squared plus or minus bx, ex squared plus and minus c, where a, b, and c are elements of real numbers and a should not be equal to 0. So what are the examples of quadratic binomial? So we have 2x squared plus 6x, x squared minus 9, x squared plus 3, x squared minus 5x, and 4x squared minus 5. So these are all examples of quadratic binomials. Then how do we know that it is a quadratic binomial? So we'll simply look at the exponent. The highest exponent must be 2, and it consists of two terms. Two terms are usually separated by plus or minus sign. For example, in this 2x squared plus 6x, there are two terms there, 2x squared and 6x. Usually, as I said, terms are separated by plus or minus sign. Okay? So, how to factor quadratic binomial? So, for example, we have this pattern, ax squared plus bx. So, unang gagawin ay kukunin natin yung kanilang greatest common factor. So, dito, you have x, ang kanilang greatest common factor. Tapos, kaya ang naging result nito ay x times ex plus b. So, yung pattern. So, halimbawa, mayroon tayong 2x squared plus 6x. So, ang gagawin natin ay kukunin natin yung kanilang greatest common factor. So, paano kunin yung greatest common factor? For example, your 2x, express mo ito as a product of powers of prime. Ibig sabihin ng product of powers of primes, lahat ng indicated, lahat ng factors ay prime numbers. So, ibig sabihin ng prime numbers naman, yun yung numbers na wala ng ibang factor maliban lang sa 1 and itself, o sa sarili niya. Ano ba yung 2x squared can be factored sa 2 times x times x. Samantala yung 6x naman, ang kanyang product of powers of prime ay 2 times 3 times x. Para makuha yung kanilang greatest common factors, identify natin kung ano yung common nila. So, dito sa result na ito, makikita na ang common nila ay 2. So, isulat natin dyan once lang 2. Ano pa? Yung x, para silang may x. Tapos, i-multiply natin yan. 2 times x is equal to 2x. Now, ito na ngayon yung tinatawag nating greatest common factor. Kaya, madali na natin mahanap yung factors ng 2x squared plus 6x. So, ano yon? Sulat natin yung greatest common factor niya, 2x. Tapos, makikita dito natin sa solution na ang natira na lang sa 2x squared ay x. So, sulat natin x. Then, we copy the sign plus. Then, ang natira doon sa 6x ay 3. So, isulat natin dito yung 3. So, in other words, the factors of 2x squared plus 6x is 2x times x plus 3. Okay? So, ganyan lang ang pagkuha ng factors. Pero halimbawa, ang given natin ay ax squared minus bx. So, halos kaparehas lang sila. The difference is the operation between the two. This one is minus. So, ganun pa rin ang magiging factors niya. Maiba lang doon sa sign. Yan, x times ax minus b. So, halimbawa, mayroon tayong x squared minus 5x. Ano ang factors niya? So, titingnan natin ano ba yung common doon sa x squared saka 5x. The x ang kanilang greatest common factor. Pag tinanggal natin dito yung isang x, magiging x na lang yan. Tapos ito naman, magiging 5. Pero kung kopyahin natin itong sign na itong negative, minus 5. Okay? The factors now, are x and x minus 5. Okay? So, what if the given is ax squared minus c? So, if makikita natin, as we look at the third illustration, the second term has no variable beside it. So, yun ang pinagkaiba doon sa mga dalawang models na nauna. So, ano ang gagawin natin? So, to get the factors of this type of quadratic binomials, ay una, kunin natin yung square root ng first term minus ng square root ng second term. So, mangyayari ganyan. Makikita mo na ang kinuha natin ito, square root nito, yan, kaya sinulat natin dyan, square root of ax squared, minus, kinopya itong sign na ito, yan, tapos, square root naman ulit nung second term. Yan. Okay? Then, after that, i-rewrite natin ito. Then, we have to change the sign between the two terms. So, ano naman yung result niyan? Square root of ax squared plus square root of c. So, ganyan ang magiging factors niya. So, magbigay tayo ng particular example. Ano, x squared minus 9. So, ano ba ang gagawin natin dyan? So, una, sabi nga, if we follow the pattern, kunin natin yung square root nito. Ano bang square root ng x squared? Dx. Tapos, kopyahin yung sign minus. Ano yung square root ng 9? So, positive 3. So, yan ang magiging sagot. Tapos, i-rewrite na lang natin siya. Palitan lang natin yung sign sa gitna. Kaya, ang factors ng x squared minus 9 equals to x minus 3 times x plus 3. So, ganyan lang siya. So, halimbawa, mayroon tayong ax squared plus c naman. So, halos kaparehas lang silang, pinagkaiba lang yung operation sa gitna. Pag ganyan, ibig sabihin, hindi siya mapafactor algebraically if a and it should be c. Ito ay c. So, erase natin ito. Dapat ito ay c, ha? Okay. So, cannot be factored algebraically if a and c are relatively prime. So, ano ibig sabihin ng relatively prime? Ibig sabihin, wala silang common factor yung a at saka si c. Maliban lang sa 1. Ano? So, pag ganyan ang situation, ang tawag doon sa dalawang numbers na yon ay relatively prime. Pero halimbawa, mayroon siyang, halimbawa, 4x squared plus 5. So, yung 4 at saka 5 are relatively prime. Kasi wala silang common factors maliban sa 1. Kaya, cannot be factored siya. Okay? Pero halimbawa, 4x squared plus 8. So, kung pwede naman siya ma-factors, kaso nga lang, yung variable ay hindi mahihiwalay. No? Walang variable na mahihiwalay. May ma-factor mo lang ng pagganito. Kasi ang greatest common factor ng dalawa ay 4. So, you can just factor that as 4 times x squared plus 2. And you can no longer factor x squared plus 2. Kasi, tulad nga nung nasabi ko, yung dalawa ay wala ng common monomial factor. So, that is how to factor quadratic binomials. Okay, magbigay tayo ng mga marami pang examples on how to factor quadratic binomials. So, halimbawa, x squared minus 2x. So, ano ba ang factors ng x squared minus 2x? So, ano ang common nila? Parehas silang may x. So, i-factor out natin x times, matitira dito ay x minus 2. So, yun yung factors nila. Okay? So, halimbawa, 9x squared plus 27x. So, ano yung greatest common factors sa pagitan ng dalawa, ng 9x squared at saka 27x? Tingnan natin. Yung 9 can be factors as 3 times 3 times x times x. Samantala si 27 naman, 27x can be factor as 3 times 3 times 3 times x. So, you look at that. So, ano yung kanilang common between the two? Parehas silang may dalawang 3 at saka may isang x din. Okay, so ibig sabihin, dalawa yung 3, 3 times 3, 9 times x, so 9x. So, ang kanilang greatest common factor ay 9x. So, ang factors nito ay 9x times, ang natira dito sa 9x squared, kung tinanggal natin itong 9x na, ay x na lang. X, then plus, sa 27 naman, 3 na lang ang natira. So, 9x times x plus 3. So, yun yung kanyang factors. Now, how about 5x squared minus x? So, ano ang kanyang factors? So, ano bang common sa dalawa? Para silang may x. Kaya, ang greatest common factor niya ay x. So, papactor out natin yung x. So, mangyayari x times 5x minus 1. Okay. Another, you have x squared minus 25. So, ito naman, yung isang term niya ay walang variable na involved. So, ang gagawin natin, ang pag-factor nito ay square root ng first term. Anong square root ng x squared? X. Tapos, kopyahin yung sign minus square root ng 25 ay 5. Tapos, i-rewrite lang natin. Tapos, babaguhin lang yung sign sa gitna. X plus 5. Okay? X minus 5 times x plus 5. Pag minultiply natin itong dalawa, maging x squared minus 25. Okay? So, another one, you have 9x squared minus 25. So, halos kaparehas lang yung pattern niyan. Ang square root nung, ang factors nito ay square root ng 9x squared ay 3x minus square root ng 25 ay 5. Yan. Then, rewrite natin siya, 3x. Baguhin lang yung sign sa gitna. So, yun yung factors niya. Madali lang. So, halimbawa, x squared minus 5 naman. So, ganun pa rin. Halos pare-parehas lang sila ng pattern. Kunin yung square root ng x squared. So, x minus the square root of 5. Eh, wala naman din ang 5 ay not a perfect square. So, isulat lang natin square root of 5. So, like this one. Tapos, pupupihin lang natin x plus square root of 5. So, yun ang factors ng x squared minus 5. So, another, you have 3x squared minus 27. Okay, yung 3 at saka 27, kung makikita mo, may common monomial factors sila na 3. So, itatry natin muna tanggalin yung kanilang common monomial factors kung mayroon man. So, dito mayroon. So, 3. Factor out natin yung 3. So, ito ay magiging x squared. Ito naman magiging 9 na lang. But remember, x squared minus 9 is still factorable. So, pwede natin 3 times square root of x squared is x minus square root of 9, 3. Then, rewrite natin. Change natin yung sign sa gitna. Kaya, ang factors ng 3x squared minus 27 ay 3 times the quantity of x minus 3 times x plus 3. Okay? So, how about x squared plus 27? You look at this one. Plus ang nasa pagitan ng dalawa, makikita natin na yung x squared and 27 ay wala naman silang greatest common factor. Plus ito. So, ibig sabihin, wala siyang factors. Okay? So, ang susunod naman ay yung perfect square trinomial. What is a perfect square trinomial? An expression obtained from the square of a binomial is a perfect square trinomial. So, yung square, pag in-square mo yung binomial, ang product nun ay mako-considered na perfect square trinomial. So, halimbawa, you have the square of x plus 3. Ang mangyayari nun, pag minultiply mo yan, ang magiging result ay x squared plus 6x plus 9. At itong x squared plus 6x plus 9 ay tinatawag nating perfect square trinomial. Okay? So, an expression a squared x squared plus or minus 2abx plus b squared is a perfect square trinomial if the first term, so ibig sabihin yung a squared x squared and the last term which is b squared are squares, no? And the middle term, itong gitna na ito, gitna na yan, middle term is twice the product of the square roots of the first and the last term. Halimbawa ito, a squared x squared plus 2abx plus b squared, this is equal to ax plus b times ax plus b, or it could be ax plus b quantity squared. So you can write this way. So paano natin malalaman? Ulitin ko, paano natin malalaman na ang given expression is a perfect square trinomial? Una daw, yung first and the last term must be square at the middle term is twice the product of the square root of the first term and the last term. So another one, kung ito naman dito ay minus naman, a squared x squared minus 2abx plus b squared, ang magiging factors naman nito ay ax minus b, ax minus b. So ang naiba lang yung sign nilang dalawa. Yan. Okay? So, or we can write this also as ax minus b quantity squared. So, ganyan lang. Okay, let us have now examples on how to factor perfect square trinomial. So, for example, you have x squared minus 2x plus 1. Is this a perfect square trinomial? So, let us verify. So, x squared, ano ang square root ng x squared? So, x. So, x squared is a perfect square. Ang ibig sabihin ng perfect square, pag kinuha mo yung square root niya, ay eksakto. Halimbawa, square root ng 4 ay 2. So, ibig sabihin, kasi 2 times 2 is 4. So, ang ibig sabihin yung 4 ay perfect square. So, yun ang ibig sabihin ng perfect square or square. Now, yung first term ay perfect square. Now, how about the last term? Ano yung square root ng 1? 1. Because 1 times 1 is 1. So, 1 is a perfect square. Ang square root niya ay 1. So, yung first term at saka last term ay perfect square. Ita-times natin ang product ng square root ng first term doon sa square root ng second term sa 2. Tapos, pag ang result ay equal doon sa middle term, ibig sabihin ito ay perfect square. You have now 2 times x times 1, 2x. So, therefore, this x squared minus 2x is a 2x plus 1 is a perfect square. So, paano natin kukunin ang factors niyan? Okay? So, kunin mo lang yung square root ng first term. What is the square root of first term? So, x. Then, kopyahin yung sign after the first term, minus. Then, square root ng last term, 1. Tapos, you write that as is. As is means exactly the same. So, therefore, the factors of x squared minus 2x plus 1 is equal to x minus 1 times x minus 1. Or we can write this as x minus 1 quantity squared. And that is the factors. So, how about if we have 4x squared minus 12x plus 9? So, tingnan natin. Yung first term ay 4x squared. Anong square root ng 4x squared? So, 2x. So, meaning, 4x squared is a perfect square kasi eksakto yung kanyang square root. How about the last term? So, you have 9. Square root of 9 is positive 3. Okay? So, 9 is a perfect square. Kasi yung dalawa na yan, na square root ng first term at saka nung last term, i-multiply natin sa 2. Pag ang result niyan equal doon sa middle term, so ibig sabihin, itong trinomial na ito ay perfect square. So, tingnan natin. 2 times 2x 4x times 3, 12x. So, equal siya dun sa middle term. So, ito ay perfect square trinomial. So, ang ibig sabihin, ang factors nito ay kunin mo lang yung square root ng first term, 2x. Kopyahin yung sign after the first term, minus. And square root ng last term, 3. Then, rewrite mo lang as is siya, 2x minus 3. So, yan na ang magiging factors niya. Oh, you have 2x minus 3 quantity squared. Okay, so that is how to get the factors of a perfect square trinomial. Okay, so madali lang siyang gawin. So, parang pag nalaman mo na perfect square trinomial yan, hindi mo na pakikialaman ulit yung middle term. So, nag-focus ka lang doon sa first term at saka yung last term at saka yung sign nung after the first term. Okay? So, how about if we have 9x squared plus 15x? 15x plus 25. Okay? So, makikita natin dito na pag yung first term, 9x squared, perfect square ba siya? Perfect square kasi 3x. 3x. No? Tapos yung last term naman ay 25. So you have there 5. So perfect square. So multiply natin yung square root ng first term at saka nung last term times 2. Dapat ang middle term niyan ay equal dito sa product ng twice ng product ng square root ng first term at saka ng square root ng last term. So, 2 times 3x, 2 times 3x, 6x times 5 is 30x. It is not equal to the middle term. So, ibig sabihin, ito ay hindi siya perfect square trinomial. You cannot apply the pattern that we had in our previous two examples. Hindi na. So, how about 2x squared plus 16x plus 32? So, tingnan natin. Yung 2x squared plus 6x plus 32. Sometimes, as we look at the given, as if it is not a perfect square trinomial. But we can reduce that to make it a perfect square trinomial. Halimbawa, itong first term, 2x squared. Second term is 16x. At saka yung last term is 32. So, anong mapapansin nyo? Lahat sila ay even numbers. So, ibig sabihin, not only even numbers, but they have common factors. Kasi yung 16, maaari natin ma-factors na 2 times 8. Samantala, yung 32, pwede naman natin ma-factors na 2 times 16. Parehas sila ngayon magkakaiba terms ay nagkaroon ng 2. So, ipa-factor out natin yung 2. Factor out natin yung 2. So, ito magiging x squared na lang. Ito naman kasi matatanggal na ito. Ito na ito, 8x na lang. Plus 8x. Tapos ito naman, tatanggal na rin yung 2, magiging 16 na lang. Okay? Yan. So, makikita natin ngayon na si x squared plus 8x plus 16 ay magiging perfect square trinomial yan. Bakit? Ang square root kasi ng first term, doon sa na-reduce nating expression ay x. Tapos, yung square root naman ng last term ay 4. Pag tinimes natin yan sa 2, magiging equal na dyan sa gitna. Okay? So, ito ay perfect square trinomial. Kaya po pwede pa natin, we can factor that further. So, we have to write first 2. Ito. Then, times, ano yung square root ng first term? X. Ano yung sign after the first term? Plus. So, you write there plus. Then, the square root of the last term is 4. Rewrite mo lang itong x plus 4 as is. So, we have now x plus 4. Or, we can write this one as 2 times x plus 4 quantity squared. Okay? So, that's now the factors of 2x squared. 2x squared plus 16x plus 32. So, you have 2 times x plus 4 times x plus 4. Okay? So, that is how to factor perfect square trinomial. That is how to factor perfect square trinomial. Okay, so I hope you learned something on how to factors quadratic binomial and perfect square trinomial. Okay? Until next time.